ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवन् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च. Sorry, just a minute. Alexa, stop. That was my reminder, sorry. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Krishna, for the wonderful Mangalacharan recital. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined this group and are about to join. Prabhuji, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam and we are on Canto 1, Chapter 8. And the text for today is text 41.
Okay. Narayan namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirieta nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate yutam shloke bhakti bodhinashtiki om namo bhagavate vasudevaya om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 8, verse number 41. Atha Vishvesha Vishwatman Vishwa Murte Swakeshu Me Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi Dridam Pandushu Vrishnishu. Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please, therefore, sever my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vishnus. Mother, you can read the purport.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A pure devotee of the Lord is ashamed to ask anything in self-interest from the Lord. But the householders are sometimes obliged to ask favors from the Lord, being bound by the tie of family affection. Srimati Kunti Devi was conscious of this fact, and therefore she prayed the Lord to cut off the affectionate ties from her own kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. The Pandavas are her own sons, and the Vrishnis are the members of her paternal family. Krishna was equally related to both the families. Both the families required the Lord's help because both were dependent devotees of the Lord. Srimati Kunti Devi wished Sri Krishna to remain with her sons, the Pandavas, but by his doing so, her parental house would be bereft of the benefit. All these partialities troubled the mind of Kunti, and therefore she desired to cut off the affectionate tie. A pure devotee cuts off the limited ties of affection from his family and widens his activities of devotional service for all forgotten souls. The typical example is the band of 6 Goswamis, who followed the path of Lord Chaitanya. All of them belong to the most enlightened and cultured rich families of the higher castes, but for the benefit of the mass of population, they left the comfortable homes and became mendicants. To cut off all family affection means to broaden the field of activities. Without doing this, no one can be qualified as a Brahmana, a king, a public leader, or a devotee of the Lord. The personality of Godhead as an ideal king showed this by example. Sri Ramachandra cut off the ties of affection of his beloved wife to manifest the qualities of an ideal king. Such personalities as a Brahmana, a devotee, a king, or a public leader must be very broad-minded in discharging their respective duties. Srimati Kunti Devi was conscious of this fact, and being weak, she prayed to be free from such bondage of family affection. The Lord is addressed as the Lord of the universe, or the Lord of the universal mind, indicating his all-powerful ability to cut off the hard knot of family affection. Therefore, it is sometimes experienced that the Lord, out of his special affinity towards a weak devotee, breaks the family affection by force of circumstances arranged by his all-powerful energy. By doing so, he causes the devotee to become completely dependent on him and thus clears the path for his going back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhuri. O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please, therefore, sever my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vaishnavas. So, Mother Kunti is a very pure devotee. She's saying that because as a woman, she has connection with two families, her own family and the family where she's got married to. Now, she got married to the Pandavas family. She comes from the Vaishnava family. Vasudeva and Kunti are brother and sisters. So imagine they are so close, but still Maharani Kunti is saying that please sever my affection for my own kinsmen, means Pandavas and the Vaishnavas. It's a very high thought explained in this verse. Sri Prabhupada says the pure devotee doesn't ask anything for himself. He simply prays that please let me always serve you. And I serve you in such a way that you remain pleased. Like Rupa Goswami says, Anukul. Anukul means in a favorable way. He doesn't want to bother the people, the Supreme Lord. Generally, every householder asks for his own family affection, which is natural. None of us family people can say that we don't ask for anything. We do ask. We do ask that my wife or my husband, my children, my in-laws, whatever it is, they remain healthy, well, and let the peace prevail. At least that much we ask for. And others also. But Kunti Devi in this verse is asking to cut off the ties she had with the Pandavas and with the Vaishnavas. If you go back to the history of Kunti, she was born in a very aristocratic family. She was a princess. And she was so beautiful that so many princesses wanted to marry her. But later on, Kunti was married to Pandu. And we also know that before the marriage, Kunti had served a rishi, known as rishi means a sage, Durvasha. And she had obtained the mantras for getting children. And when King Pandu, who had actually was cursed that he won't have any children, then Kunti actually comforted her husband and said that, oh, we'll have children. And she brought back these glorious sons, the Pandavas. Now she wanted to cut the affection with the Pandavas and from the Vaishnavas also, because she was also very dear to the Vaishnava family. So Krishna is actually related to both families, and both required help from Krishna. And Kunti was confused or hesitant. Should she ask for favor or not? should she ask favor for the Pandavas or for the Vaishnavas? But it's better. She says, better I don't ask for anyone. Because when you are too affectionate to your own family, then affection for Krishna becomes lesser. You find that all our love should be directed towards Krishna. And that is called Sarva Dharma Paritajya. Sarva Dharma Paritajya means give up all the other affection, be more affectionate towards Krishna. Our love should be directed towards Krishna. And then whatever we have, or whatever relatives we have, their all affection should be directed towards Krishna. In good times, even in difficult times. So Kunti is teaching us this highest kind of relationship, that to be highly closer or to have so much love for Krishna, not for anyone else. In the Krishnas, they have a very good prayer. They say, let me be the winner in the eyes of the Lord before I become the winner in the eyes of the rest of the world. Very good prayer. So in this prayer, we find that our highest attention should be to Krishna. You may have a wife, husband, children, parents, whatever it is, but your highest affection should be towards Krishna. And that is the understanding of our acharyas. That is the understanding given in Bhagavad Gita and also in Bhagavatam. Even Krishna, even Sukadeva Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit, that hear about Krishna, glorify Krishna, remember Krishna, and meditate on Krishna. He doesn't say anyone else. Makes it very, very clear in the Bhagavatam, right in the beginning. So when Maharaj Parikshit asks that what should a man do when he's about to die, or he knows he's going to die, then this is the verse he speaks. So Kunti teaches us the highest realization. Here Sri Prabhupada gives the example of the 6 Goswamis. Now we find we have 6 Goswamis. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, these are the first 2. They were actually working for the Muslim government. At that time, India was under the siege of Muslim government. And they were very highly paid ministers. And Rupa Goswami left first, they retired. And then Sanatana Goswami, he wanted to retire, and then he was put in the jail. But Rupa Goswami, when he came home, he was given a whole full boat of gold coins. Imagine how much money he had. It can be in billions. He had this much money. Raghunath Das was he was the only son between the 2 brothers. And the father's income in those days was 5 lakh rupees a day in those days. So you can multiply that by 100 at least. That was the income. That was no shortage of wealth. Yet among the Goswami is the most renounced person. If you want to run renunciation, Raghunath Das is a perfect person. Then we have Raghunath Das, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami. He was also son of a great devotee. He was a highly learned person. And then Jiva Goswami is a nephew of Sanatana and Rupa Goswami. He was highly an intellectual. Sri Prabhupada says there was no philosopher like Jiva Goswami on this planet at that time. I think if historically you call it Renaissance, there was a big change going on in all over the world. And then we have Gopal Bhatt Goswami, who was the son of Vaikat Bhatt Goswami, highly learned Brahmana and highly qualified. So all the 6 Goswamis, they gave up everything. So if you read the prayers, Nana Shastra Vichar Iniko, those prayers glorify the 6 Goswamis, that they were so rich, but they gave it up like nothing, just to accept a renounced life to please Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they lived a life to please Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So these are the 6 Goswamis. So both of them, either they came from a Srimad family or Suchi family, highly aristocratic family or highly learned family. Yet they gave up everything. She says when one leaves up all the family affection, one has enough and extra energy and time to serve Krishna. Sometimes people say, oh, why you have to give up everything? So that you get time to serve Krishna. Otherwise, you'll be so much occupied in serving your parents, your family, your children. But that a time comes when you have to give up all these and give the maximum time to serve Krishna. Of course, even those who follow Varnashram system, even the advice for them is after the age of 50, they are supposed to live a very renounced life. I mean, retired life, sorry. And later, but people don't follow Varnashram Dharma anymore. So anyway, the thing is, why give up all this affection? So that you have more affection to serve Krishna. Krishna is the center of life, is meant to be the center of life. You find that, what do you call? If I might have given you an example earlier, that if there's a pond of water, and if there's no wind, the water is like a sheet of glass. And if you throw a stone in it, you find the ripples start where the stone falls. And later on, if you throw another stone, another new ripples will start. If you throw the stone at the same place, the ripples will not clash with each other. In the similar way, if the center point is Krishna, then everything else goes very, very peacefully. So our duty should be to serve Krishna with all love and devotions. Now today it so happens, people do not renounce everything. Of course, even in the politics, if you want a high post, then you have to renounce your business and everything. Even that is a law in the country. Now to please Krishna, of course you have to leave everything. In other words, you actually belong to everyone. Srila Prabhupada once asked, after he took sannyas in America, of course Prabhupada went as a sannyasi, that, do you have any children? He says, yes, I have so many children. All these disciples are my children. And Prabhupada even says that I am very thankful to them that they have accepted me as their spiritual master or their father. The spiritual master means the real father. So he says here that if you do not renounce, then to become a Brahmin or a king or a leader or a devotee of Krishna, you won't get time. So to get time, you have to renounce. And that is what Mother Kunti is saying. That let me renounce my affection towards both the families, the family where she was born and the family where she was married to. Prabhupada explains in a lecture that a girl's life or a woman's life is very, very difficult because she has to serve two families very nicely, showing so much love for both the families. And that's why women are brought in such a way, with such a nice culture, that they have nice, loving words, nice way of serving the superiors and others, that they become pleased. You find that any woman who has all those good qualities, she remains happy for the whole of her life, though it's a life of sacrifice. And Kunti's life was full of sacrifice. The hardships she went through. She lost husband in a very young age. And later on, how Duryodhana and others, they gave trouble to her sons. And she tolerated everything. So that is the typical life of a woman, especially a woman who comes from very high class. And she came from a very high royal family. Srila Prabhupada explains that even Lord Ramachandra, to please his citizens, he sent Mother Sita to the forest. If you go to Ramayana, everybody knows the story or the incident. That Ramachandra, when he was in disguise, moving around the city, he heard people spreading rumors. Oh, Sita has lived in someone's house. How can Ramachandra accept him? And in this way, it became so dirty. And people are like that. They can make a small thing into a very big thing, which is natural. People like to speak nonsense. And this did not please Lord Ramachandra. So as a king, to please the public or the public opinion, he renounced his connection with Sita. And Sita lived in the forest, later on to the ashram of Valmiki. Sorry, was it Valmiki or Vishwamitra? No, Vishwamitra. No, it's Valmiki, sorry. And she lived there where Love and Kush were born. At that time, she was pregnant, imagine. A mother who is expecting and you tell her to leave or desert the palaces. But she preferred to live there and she lived very happily. So that's even in the story of Lord Ramachandra, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So for leaders, we have to leave for our dependence and become broad-minded. Lord Rishabhdev says in the Bhagavatam, Guru na sasyat, janani na sasyat. In that verse, he says, one should not become a guru, a father, a mother, a spiritual master, or a leader who cannot deliver the dependence from the cycle of birth and death. It's a very big responsibility. Don't become a leader if you cannot free your dependence from the cycle of birth and death. So sometimes the Lord cuts off our ties with our own family if there is a necessity. Everybody knows the story of Narada when he was the son of a maid servant, and his mother was working during the Chaturmasha in an ashram, and the only attachment for Narada was, as a son of maid servant, was his own mother. And Krishna, what did he do? He even took his mother away to get more mercy from the Bhaktivedantas or from the sages. In this way, Narada became more serious in devotional service. You find that even if you go to the 10th canto, I can't remember the verse number, where it's written that when Krishna gives a special favor on you or wants to make a special favor on you, he takes away everything from you so that you become attached to Krishna. Just like, take an example, that you are traveling in a ship and the ship drowns, everybody drowns, you're the only person left. And very near there's an island, so you just go and live in that island. You can't go anywhere. You only take resort in the island. In a similar way, our resort is the feet of Krishna, where you know that it's only these feet which are full of guarantee, full of protection, full of all the assurances. And this is repeatedly said in so many verses in Srimad Bhagavatam and even in Bhagavad Gita. If you open the 18th chapter, if you go to the verse number 57, almost towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, I'll read the verse for you. Or if somebody wants to read, they can read. Somebody likes to read 1857.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, I read it.
Yeah, please read. 1857 and 58.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. The 57 is Chaitasha sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha buddhi yogam upashritya matchitaha satatam bhava. The translation: in all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. 58. Machitaha sarva durgani mat prashadat tarishyasi athachitvam ahankaran nashrutshyasi vinangsyasi. Translation: if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Hare Krishna.
So these two words are very clear. The 57 says, depend on me. And 58, it says that doing so, you'll pass all the obstacles of life. Now, if I ask the question to most of you, all of you, do we have obstacles in life? Do we go through obstacles in life? Yes, all of us. You may be living a very, very happy life. Obstacles can come anytime. And they're not going to knock at your door. They'll just come opening the door and putting you down. So at that time, you have to learn to depend on Krishna. If you read Ramayana very nicely, Ayodhya Kand, it's written that Ramachandra was given a message that tomorrow you'll be crowned as the king, the next king. And in the night only, the whole story changed. Everything changed. And in the morning, Ramachandra had to go to forest. So eventually the Supreme Lord himself has to suffer like this. In the similar way, even the Pandavas, they had gone through so much sufferings. Now in the case of Pandavas, since they were dependent on Krishna, they passed through all the obstacles of life because they would not live without asking Krishna anything. They will not take any decision without asking Krishna. This is the greatness of the Pandavas. That's why they're considered to be very pure devotees. So from the Pandavas we can learn, from Ramachandra we can learn that we should always be ready or alert that anything can happen. When you make any decision, always consider two things. If all goes well, this will happen. And if nothing goes well, I should be ready for this. That's called wisdom. Anyone who is an experienced person, he knows it. You may have, in English they say, you may have everything in your stack, but everything can go wrong. So nothing is in our control, remember that. But if you are dependent on Krishna, even if things goes wrong, it is for your own good. That's if you engage in devotional service. That's why no wonder Maharani Kunti is one of the prayers. I don't know if you've done that prayers, where it says, let these calamities happen again and again, so that I see you again and again. And by seeing you, we'll be freed from the cycles of birth and death. Beautiful prayer. And Srila Prabhupada quotes this prayer several times. That even being a great devotee, she's still praying, let the calamities come. So you find that even in a devotee's life, it's not an easy life. It's a difficult life. Though the joy which is there in a devotee's heart is different from the materialistic happiness, because the joy you get in devotional service is something very, very special. Anyone who gets the taste of devotional service will be ready to keep the devotional service in exchange, even if he's given kingdoms and kingdoms, he won't take it. He said, no, I'll stick to this devotional service. This is the life of a devotee. So much pleasure is there. Especially if you become special in one of those 9 limbs of devotional service, you'll enjoy it so much. For example, I've seen some devotees, many devotees in our Islam, they are so much accustomed to reading and they love reading. There are devotees who can keep it chanting. There are devotees who like to remember Krishna. There are those who like to serve the deity. Those who like to do many, many services. In this way, every devotee is at least special at least one service, which keeps them occupied and keeps them happy. And when they don't get the service, they become unhappy. So they are always longing how to serve Krishna in many, many ways. In this way, devotees get strengthened by services. But devotees become weak when they have no service. That's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, keep yourself busy. He says this, Satatam kirtayantam mam yatatam dridavita namasyantashta mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasya. Those who, someone I like to read, they can read. It's 9:14. 9:14. Anybody likes to read?
I can read it.
Yes,
okay, sorry, Mataji.
Okay, it's okay, Panchali Mataji.
No, Mataji, I'll read it only if nobody's reading it. You go ahead, Mataji.
So 9:14. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatatascha trada vrata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Hare Krishna.
So this verse is the life of a devotee. A typical life of any devotee, at least a pure devotee. It says, always chanting my glories. Satatam kirtayantavam. Kirtan does not just mean playing mridanga and kartal and harmonium. No. Kirtan means to glorify Krishna's name, form, pastimes, qualities, and abode. 5 things. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila, Dhamma. These 5 things, if you glorify them to anyone or even to yourself, that is called Kirtan. And if you do it in a group, that is called Sankirtan. And next is endeavoring with great determination. You find that why devotees have a great determination is because they have given up sense enjoyment. There can't be determination if there is mixture of sense enjoyment. In Bhagavad Gita, in the 244, it says, Bhogeshwara Prasannatma Taya Fartha Chetasha Vyavash Atmika Bhutir Samadhona Vityate. There's no samadhi. If you want to enjoy senses, you have to give sense enjoyment. That doesn't mean that you don't serve your family or you don't show love to others. No. Sense enjoyment means you don't spoil your senses by doing things which are anarthas, useless. Prabhupada gives an example that people do so many anarthas. He gives a simple example in America that if you see the purse of any woman, they carry a lipstick, and the value of lipstick in those days was 50 cents. What is the use? Do you have to wear lipstick? Well, in modern days, yes, everybody wears lipstick, but otherwise, it's not a necessity. Second thing he says, is there a necessity to watch movies? No. There's so much happiness inside. You can enjoy happiness. Lord Rishabh says that happiness is already stored in us. All we have to do is tape it by releasing it, by gaining a sense control. If you control your senses, then the happiness will come out from inside out. That brings about determination. And then in the 7th chapter, it says, Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te danda moha nirmuta bhajantimam dridavita. It says, anyone who has acted piously in the previous life, who is acting piously in this life, whose sinful reactions have been burnt away, only such a person can engage in with determination in devotional service. In other words, we don't act impiously, we don't commit sinful activities. If you want determination in sinful activities. Prabhupada gives a simple example. If you want to do yajna means fire sacrifice. Then in fire sacrifice, you keep putting ahuti. Ahuti means grains and sesame seeds, and the fire goes on and you keep giving ghee little by little. The fire will go on. But instead of that, you take a glass of water and keep throwing inside. Your fire will go away. Devotional service is like fire. It's burning away all your sinful reactions. But at the same time, you have to enjoy your senses, like putting water inside. Instead of putting the fuel, you are putting water. Imagine your car, instead of putting petrol or diesel, you fill your car with petrol. With water, what will happen? The car will cease. The engine will soon break down. In a similar way, if you want determination, you have to give up sinful activities. And we have to bow down to Krishna. Now, bowing down is very, very important thing. Bowing down does not mean keep your head down at the feet of the deity, which is good. But bowing down literally means to remain very humble and meek. That is called bowing down. Keep yourself with a very low profile. Don't ask for, don't demand too much position. And don't become too puffed up with pride. Otherwise, you can't bow down. So by doing these 3 things, chanting the glories, serving with determination, and bowing down to Krishna, that is called service to Krishna. Many people say how to worship Krishna. These are the 3 things, how you worship Krishna. Many people have different ideas about Krishna, about worship of Krishna. So Kunti Maharani is asking, the same thing, that cut off my affection to other people and let me remain engaged in your service. Very clear, very, very clear explanation. So here it says that when you cut off the ties, Krishna is addressed in this particular verse as Vishwatma. Maharani Kunti is calling Krishna Vishwatma. Just like our body is living due to the soul inside. So that is called Jivatma. And then there is Paramatma within our body, who is accompanying the soul. But then there's the soul of the entire creation, and that is Krishna. And that is called Vishwatma. Vishwatma. That means the whole Vishwa is beyond because of him. Prabhupada quotes a verse, I think in the 2nd chapter in the purport. Nitya Nityanam Chetnas Chetanam Eka Bahunam Vidadati Kamam. There is one supreme individual who is creating so many individuals and maintaining them. There is one consciousness who is creating many, many consciousness. And that one, or that one Nitya or one consciousness is Krishna. And one word for that is Vishwa. There's one from whom all the life is coming. That is Krishna. From whom all the consciousness is given. He is individual and even we are individuals. We are not like Mayavaris that we become one with Krishna. Even when we die, even when we get liberation, we don't become one with Krishna. We retain our individuality. In the purport in the 18th chapter, in the Bhaktya Mama Vijanati, Krishna says, Sri Prabhupada says, if a green bird goes and sits on a green tree, does not mean that the bird has become a tree. Looks like it's become one because it's one color. Tree remains a tree, bird remains a bird. So even if you go to Vaikuntha or even Krishna Loka, you still go there and serve Krishna. It's not that you become one in the body of Krishna. Many people have this wrong notion. So this notion should be removed. And who are the culprits who have brought this wrong notion is Mayavadis. They say, oh, we are Narayan and we'll become one with Narayan. First of all, they don't even believe in Narayan. So there's no question of becoming one with Narayan. To them, we become one. It means they may end up with Brahma Jyoti, not with Krishna. So here, the meaning of taking away your dependency on others is so that we become dependent on Krishna. Take the example of Draupadi. I've given many, many times. Draupadi, when she was brought to the court and when they wanted to dishonor her, she tried many ways to protect herself. But in the end, she became helpless. And up to that time, Krishna didn't help her. When she raised her hands up, Krishna had to come and protect her. In a similar way, during our kirtan, why do we raise hands? Due to, this is the what do you call, the meaning behind it. When you say Hari Bol, Hari Krishna, means we are fully surrendered to you. And when you are fully surrendered to Krishna, Krishna really gives us all the help you require. So last it says, the last point Sri Prabhupada makes here is that Krishna makes the path of the devotee very clear so that he does not take birth again. He goes back home, back to Godhead in this very life. Even in our temple, many people who come to visit, they ask that, oh, why the devotees that suffer so much? Sometimes you find very good devotees that suffer so much. Why? So the answer is they clear, in this very life, Krishna clears all the reactions of many, many pastimes in a whole self, all at one go, so that during their suffering, the increase of remembrance of Krishna becomes more and more. And as you remember Krishna more, and if you die, you go to Krishna. It's better to die suffering rather than to die without any suffering. Better to suffer. Because when the suffering comes, you realize, oh, even this body is a gift of Krishna. And now I'm suffering because I must have misused my body somewhere. I must have misused my senses. So this senses have given problem, or this has given me problem. In this way, devotee has a very deep understanding. Even that suffering is actually an enjoyment experienced by a devotee. So this Maharani Kunti or Queen Kunti knows this very, very well. Because she's an experienced woman She's gone through all these difficult times and all the happy times also. Rather more difficult times, few happy times. Now you'll notice one thing between, if you read Mahabharata or Ramayana, Ramayana is called Karuna Katha. Karuna Katha means 95% of Ramayana speaks of suffering. There's suffering, so much suffering, that if someone is a serious reader, he can actually cry. And if you read Mahabharata, 90% is suffering. Only 10% is war, fighting, and suffering. So this is the comparison of both of us. Of course, Srimad Bhagavatam is very different. Srimad Bhagavatam is designed in such a way that it is beyond dharma, artha, kama, moksha, only pure devotional service and nothing else. So Bhagavatam is very, very dear to the devotees. As they read Bhagavatam, they come closer to Krishna. Now, if you see, there's an incident between Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We won't go into the details. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya came across Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and his own brother-in-law told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, "You're looking at him as sannyas, he's not sannyas, he is Krishna." But he wouldn't believe because his mind was full of knowledge. Too much knowledge is not good. He was a very big philosopher. It said that he's Brihaspati, so learned. And he wouldn't believe. But later on, when the discussion went between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sarvabhauma on Vedanta Sutra, he accepted. Yes. No one can explain it this way other than the Supreme Lord. He accepted. But after that, he became a Vaishnava, a devotee. Such a great devotee that one day he brought a question to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that of the 9 limbs of devotional service, which is the best? And the straight answer, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, is to chant Hare Krishna. Of all, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Vandanam, Atma Nivedanam. He said chanting Hare Krishna is the best of all. So we take the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or the strength of as given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is we should keep on chanting unceasingly, and that is called Satatam Kirtayantam. Satatam means constant. Kirtanam. You find that if you don't do kirtan, if you don't chant, you speak nonsense. That is for sure. And you can even put people into trouble by speaking nonsensical things, gossip, politics, and so many other things. Better chant Hare Krishna all the time. Even you'll find some things which are true and you know about it. Still, if you keep on chanting, let Krishna handle everything, and Krishna will handle everything. This is the life of a devotee. And Mother Kunti understands this because she has realized all this throughout her life. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for today's class. It has been very enlightening. I really like the point of bowing down. What does the real bowing down mean? I always thought that bowing down is bowing down, literally. But to be humble and meek and don't demand a position is bowing down. I learned that something new. And I like the example of the stone and the ripples forming. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. Are there any other questions or comments? Prabhuji, there are no questions or comments. Prabhuji, do you think you have the time we can do the Damodarashtakam?
Verse number 2, yeah.
We did verse number 1 yesterday.
Yes, we'll do Rutam te muhurnetram yugnam jantam karam moja yukmena satanka netam muhushwasakam patri rekhankanta sita graiva damodar bhakti vadam. Verse number 2. Now you should know that this prayer is spoken or written down by Satyavrata Muni, pure devotee of Krishna. And the translation for verse number 2 is, seeing the weeping stick in his mother's hand. He's crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound not with ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. So if you go line by line, we find that he's crying. Now, if you go to the Leela in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's like he's rubbing it in the eyes. In India, we find that all children, they're smeared with mascara, anjali, which keeps their eyes cool, is healthy for the eyes. So when he's crying, all his eyes become blackish here. And that is Krishna. And he's all pretension. It's natural at the same time he's pretending that he's getting scared. And the Acharya said that when he sees the stick in the hand of the mother, he becomes more scared. Now, who is going to be scared? Who is not going to be scared of Krishna? Everybody. Kapila Muni explains that out of fear of Krishna or him, Supreme, the wind is blowing. Out of his fear, the sun is rising. Out of his fear, the rain is coming. Now, why is Krishna scared of the stick? Because when he sees Mother Yashoda with the stick, it is still loud. The stick is still loud, but he's showing that he's scared. Of course, later on, Mother Yashoda realizes that he's scared of my stick, so she throws the stick away. But for this timing in this prayer, we find that she's got a stick. It's just not a big stick, it's just a small stick. It's not a whip. Though here the words are used, a whipping stick. It's not a whipping stick. It's just a normal stick. Like sometimes even the teachers, they use a stick to discipline the children. They hit on the desk. Hey, stop misbehaving, and they hit the stick on the desk just to discipline. So Mother Yashoda is trying to discipline. And seeing the mother angry, he's crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his small lotus hand, beautiful hands. Krishna's hands, I think we have done that prayer. Namo Pankaja Nabhaya, Namo Pankaja Maline, Namo Pankaja Angriya, and so on. It's same in this. You must have done this prayer. So everything about Krishna is lotus. And the eyes, Krishna shows he's really scared. And the pearls of necklace around his neck was shaking. And his fear is like his head is gone in the body. So there are 3 lines here. Just like when you put your head down, your skin actually, crumbles. So he's shaking and he's quick breathing. He's breathing like he's scared. So if you see this scene, if you were there, then you know that it's all love of Mother Yashoda. Inside her heart, she has so much love for Krishna. Externally, she's showing anger. And that is why you should go to the Chanakya Pandit's verse, a very beautiful verse, not just a verse, but a niti or a moral. It says, Lalane, what do you call it? I forget the Sanskrit. Up to the age of 5, fondle your child with a lot of love. After the age of 5, up to 16, discipline your child. After the age of 16, be friendly with your child. This is how you raise your children up. So Mother Yashoda is not doing anything wrong. But still at this age, still Krishna is a bit small to be given that punishment. And that is why people who were around, they were like not feeling so happy. And inside they were even laughing, seeing the mischief of Krishna, seeing the drama of Krishna. Because Krishna is also good at dramatics, pretending, acting, singing, poetry. Krishna is expert in all these things. 64 kala, 64 arts. Krishna is the master of all of them. You can read them in the Nectar of Devotion. All 64. So this is the meaning of this particular verse, that Krishna is, is showing that he is full of fear. but actually it is done to please his mother. And the mother inside, as you read the Leela, she'll throw out the stick that why did I give this punishment to Krishna? And later on we find that Krishna, after being tied up, he breaks down those two trees. And when the trees break down, Krishna is still tied with a rope. And again, mother comes and unties him. That's why it's called Damodar. Damodar means one who is tied with rope of love. It is not meant for punishment. It is meant to show an extraordinary love. Srila Prabhupada explains in his lectures. And the Acharyas explain, who can tie Krishna? No one. But Krishna is tied by Mother Yashoda because there was so much love Mother Yashoda had for Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we can end up here. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Something wrong with the internet? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I think Mataji is offline or something, or
Yeah.
is
Okay.
she's not responding.
Okay. If anyone has any comments or something like to add, they can add. Otherwise, you can close the session.
I had this sort of like when Damodar Leela was going on. Is it the act of Yogamaya that Krishna becomes fearful, or to act the pastime? Is it the act of Yogamaya influence? Prabhu?
On Mother Yashoda is Yogamaya.
Okay.
Mother Yashoda's love is out of Yogamaya. And it's natural because she had so much love for Krishna. As far as Krishna is concerned, it is his own internal potency. And he's acting in that way. Because inside he knows everything. Externally he shows that he's full of fear. He's scared of his own mother. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Mataji is not to be seen, Prabhu. I think she must have lost internet or something, because usually she doesn't like this. Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't happen, but it may happen because anything man-made is defective.
Yes, true, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I'll take over. And are there any questions by anyone else? We can end the session. Hare Krishna. I think, she's joining, Prabhuji. I'll just wait for her. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, my internet at the Wi-Fi has gone, but I've logged in from my phone. Prabhuji, kindly continue.
Okay. We were just. I had a question, and Prabhu, clarified that doubt. And if anyone else had any questions or comments, otherwise I can conclude, Mataji.
Kindly proceed, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna for this wonderful session of Kunti Stuti, and I very nicely explained all the points, and of course on the Damodarashtakam second verse also very nicely explained the fearful face of Lord Krishna, and we could imagine how we were explaining. We could imagine Lord Krishna's face with the black marks, and then so.
I just remember the Yogamaya. It's not Yogamaya. It's called Leela Shakti.
Oh,
Leela,
okay.
Acting.
Okay. So on Krishna, it is Leela Shakti.
Krishna is, Leela Shakti is doing the work of Krishna. She's trying to show fear on the face of Krishna. And Yashoda is trying to scare Krishna. It's called the Leela Shakti working.
But on Yashoda Mata, it is Yogamaya, Prabhuji? Okay.
Well, the Yashoda is covered with Yogamaya. But Krishna's Leela Shakti is working. in a very perfect way.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Remember the word, yeah.
Yes, Leela. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. I would like to thank His Grace Rukma Prabhu for giving us a wonderful nectar on this Kunti Stuti as well as Damodarashtakam. I request all the devotees to unmute and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once in glorification of His Grace Rukma Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo
Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Vaishya Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhuji, thank you.
Jai. Thank you for the lovely class.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Avinash
Thank you.
Prabhu, I just saw your profile picture. It is all these times you had it, but today I'm noticing it more because it is Damodarashtakam. And what I like are the two, I think it must be Balram and another Gopa who are who are enjoying the scene.
Yeah, it's been there for some time now.
Yes, it's been there for a long time, but today I'm noticing it even more because and particularly those two Gopas, I'm sure that is Balram because he's really happy and enjoying himself, and the one in white is somebody else. So
Yeah.
thank you, Prabhu, for reminding us the Damodar Leela. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We'll miss the 3 weeks now for because we are going to India, so we'll miss 3 weeks of Sangha now.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Enjoy
Okay.
your time. You're going to Mayapur, aren't you, Prabhuji?
We are going to Vrindavan, Mayapur, and Jagannath Puri.
Thanks.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Enjoy your time, and
Yes.
when you come back, tell us all that you experienced and all that, because it will set the mood for going in February. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Will do.
Bring all the things and the lotus, I mean, on the dust from these dhams, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Will do. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for ending the session.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, I'll end the class.